This is a video on how to play the back spot on setons. So if you're a new player, you should avoid playing this spot because you'll be responsible for losing the game. Really, if you're new, stick the mid spot's probably the easiest to play, but you really got to get to the middle. Get the mass. One of these side spots pretty difficult, but if you're defensive, you can start playing it. You can play the back spot if you figure out if you really copy this build order really well and figure out the ASF micro, you can start playing this. But I'll put this up anyway just in case you're forced to do it. So we're gonna watch Lame God, Foxy Grandpa, one of the best decors and players in this game. It's really hard to call who is the best in the back, but I think Foxy is well respected in that regard. So you can see with the ACU he gets a first line factory, 3 mass extractors, and 9 PGens, and you can notice he puts the PGens around the mass extractors just to get a little bonus when he upgrades those. So notice he leaves 1 mass extractor for his NGs, so only gets 3 of these with his ACU. The 4th is left for the NG. You can already see an NG attack move here, and you can see the sequence. First factory, then appears it's going to be 3 PGens, and then 3 mass extractors, then 6 PGens, and then 2 more factories. So you can see a lot of early land factories. That's really important. And it looks like he could have gotten that mass spot a little earlier, but now he's going to get those. So there was no reason for him not to get that mass spot with the first NG, but he chose not to for whatever reason. See, he's not going after the Hydra. There are some builds to get after the Hydra quick, but it is a little far, so you can just focus on making these T1 PGens instead. So you can see first 3 NGs, first 4 NGs actually, are going out to get the mass extractor. So there's 1 going down, 1 going up, 1 going to these 3, and 1 going to a single mass extractor, plus this rock. And if your beach player is nice, they won't steal that from you. So really the build order for you strongly depends on what your mid player does. So if you watch some mid player games, you know at around 3:30 you might start getting mass from the mid player. Around 4 minutes to 5 you should get quite a bit of mass from the mid player. That's when you should be ready with a lot of power. I noticed these 2 NGs getting the Hydra now around minute 3. And other NGs also making more factories. You see an air factory, another land factory. You can see a pretty big mass boost now around 3:30. So this is basically a cue for Foxy to start upgrading T2 mass extractors. So right now he's really limited by how much power he has. He has a Hydro plus a bunch of PGens, and now he's going to make more PGens. Notice he made this air factory. Besides, mostly it's 4 land factories, but an air factory with which he made a scout. And he's going to look up to see what Sith in this case is doing. You really want to spot any early strat builds or ASF builds or drops from the other back player if they're trying to be creative. You just want to make sure that all they're doing is ecoing so you don't get screwed. So you can notice his Foxy's being pretty flexible with these NGs, making just as much power as he needs. You can, if you don't want to do that, just put a bunch of NGs, like 2 NGs on a really long power spam. It's very unlikely he's going to have enough power. So notice he's already extracted 15,000 power from the trees as well as 2,000 mass. This is minute 5:30. So you can see getting all this mass is very important. And if you're just interested, total NGs he has 43 now coming up on minute 6. And now you can see at minute 5, coming up on minute 6, he starts a factory which he starts upgrading to T2. So he's going to get his T2 NG with the factory. Some people like to upgrade their ACU to T2. That's a little meaningless. It's throwing away about 800 mass. You can upgrade your T2 air factory anyway. So he's going to get, let me slow this down. He's going to get a T2 NG here at coming up on minute 7. And actually this is a dangerous time. If he doesn't scout, he might start getting into trouble around minute 8. So it's really important what he does now. He can either go straight ASF, or in this case, he's going to take this NG and make 4 T2 power generators. And he's going to get a lot of his build capacity to make this power. Notice right now he's basically all T1 P-gens, and not actually too many. A lot of his power is coming from the trees. And here he's going to go, now he's got 2, he's going to get 2 more. 2 versus 3, 3 versus 4 T2 power generators is up to debate. If you get 4, then you can start making ASF slightly earlier, but you get your RAS slightly later. So it's a really hard call. So you can see from about 7 minutes on, he's making T2 power. And notice this whole time he has been upgrading his mass extractors, so he nearly has all of his mass extractors to T2. He still has 3 of them upgrading. And here it is also nice to help your energies to upgrade those. So now as soon as he gets 1 T2 power, he might start reclaiming some of his T1 power as well as some factories. And already capping his mass spots. So the key here is basically to build as much into your economy as is allowed by your mass production without stalling your eco. So the sooner you get these 4 P-gens, the better, but you don't want to do it at the expense of not producing T2 mass extractors. So by the time you get all these T2 P-gens, you should have all T2 mass extractors. And here is actually also capping a few of his mass spots with mass storage. And now you can see the T1 P-gens are no longer efficient, so he's getting rid of them plus some factories. This is free mass it's already been invested. It did the job 5 minutes ago. It is now being wasted, so you can take this mass and turn it into P-gens as well as mass extractors. And also this is a good time to do all this really annoying micro with your NGs. See a scat from Sith, you want to kill that as soon as possible. She doesn't know what you're doing. No, you should not have people patrolling you. Now you can see we're coming up on minute 9, about 9,000 mass from trees, as well as it's 81,000 power. If we look at total NGs, we're at 115 NGs now. That's a pretty good number. And you can see 9:30, Foxy is starting his RAS upgrade. That's a pretty early upgrade. So this is the point where all the players on his team should be experiencing power deficits, unless they made a lot of their own power. And as he's doing that, notice he is upgrading his factory to T3. These NGs also getting flak to kill this scout. And all these T1 P-gens are getting reclaimed. So there's no point of staring at your ACU making RAS. You know what you're doing. This is the time you should use to put the mass storage all around your mass extraction. So you can see first 10 minutes is basically all eco plus a little bit of scouting. The interesting part happens from really from 12 minutes on, when you're going to have an air force, and you're going to be responsible basically for scouting and controlling air for your players. So you want to be looking at what your players are doing and help them out whenever they need to. So you can see almost done with the first RAS. If you don't use NGs to assist, you can see it takes a little over a minute. So see for T1 NG, a minute 40 seconds. So he could have got this faster, but he didn't. So notice first unit actually was a scout, T3 scout. Now he's looking to see what Sith is doing. Very similar situation. Second unit is T3 NG. You want to get that as soon as possible because it's hard to get that out because of all the NGs around. So that's a very valuable unit to making T3 power later on. So now we're going to see Foxy finally complete his RAS. Now he's got a whole bunch of power. He's going to start the second one right away. And that's a luxury for Aeon and Seraphim. EF and Cyber only have one of those. So you can see, even though he is just ecoing, he's doing very valuable work for his allies. He is scouting the navies. That's actually a very valuable thing, very cheap, but very valuable. You can still see no assisting on this on the ACU. and a lot of the NGs from all over the map are coming to this air factory. You can see in the vicinity of air factory it has nearly 100. So notice there are still no T3 mass extractors being upgraded. Notice at what point he's going to start doing that. He is beginning to reclaim some of his T2 mass, T2 powers. This is about 4,000 mass here. It's really exactly what you need. And he has paused his RAS upgrade because he feels like he needs to put a little more into his ASF for whatever reason. We should see soon a T3 mass extractor, and that's going to be when he completes this RAS upgrade. Actually, notice what he's doing. He's paused his ACU, actually using an NG, single NG. So that's it just means he gets it at half speed, so he doesn't have a massive power deficit. See this NG minus 750 power, and you're going to see massive power deficits because the more NGs you get around your factory. And notice how he's doing this. He is giving NGs guard orders on other NGs so that it's not a single guard order around the factory. That way you can pack more NGs all around. Now he has both RAS. Now he's getting more upgrades on his ACU. And he's got a nice Air Force. Now minute 13 he has something like 20 ASF. So that's a good amount. If you can do something like this, you can play back flare. And you can see how quickly now this ASF is coming out. That's basically all that he's producing, plus a T3 mass spot. Notice he's got a nice mass boost. He is reclaiming these T2 power generators, turning them into mass. And he also has this T3 NG waiting. As soon as he sees that his air production is so high, he needs more power, he's going to start producing T3 power. Another important thing, take your ASF and set it at fire at will. Can't show it on this replay, but it's a little button here. It's like attack ground for bombers. So now you can see on minute 15 he's upgraded nearly 15,000, 14,000. 4,000 of that is this T2 power generator. So notice no T1 power generators, no T2 power generators. This is all very efficient. And now he can make ASF plus make T3 mass extractors, more NGs. So NGs are never, there's never enough NGs. You can see he's at 190 now, coming up on minute 15. And most of those NGs are in this area. And he's getting his second T3 mass extractor. So I'm going to stop this replay now. So hopefully that was useful. So don't play backspot unless you know what you're doing, and if you are really forced to. It's all about eco and scouting, and then later it's an ASF spam, and you can try to figure out the micro yourself.